De Niro's former assistant is fighting back after De Niro's company filed a $6 million lawsuit against her in August, alleging she stole.
DA's former assistant is fighting back after DA's company filed a $6 million lawsuit against her in August, alleging she stole money and binge-watched episodes of Friends while she was on the clock. Robert De Niro, a legendary name in Hollywood, has captivated audiences for decades with his powerful performances, an undeniable presence, but now a heartbreaking reality has struck his family, leaving fans stunned and saddened as his loved ones come together to say their goodbyes. The world watches with heavy hearts what has happened to the iconic actor. What devastating news has left his family wanting to step away? Join us as we uncover the shocking truth that seems to be pushing his family away. On July 2, 2023, Robert De's world changed forever. His 19-year-old grandson, Leandro, was found dead in his Manhattan apartment, the cause a fatal drug overdose. We're learning what caused the death of actor Robert De's grandson last month. The New York City Medical Examiner says it was an accidental fentanyl overdose. Leandro Deodoro Rodriguez died on July 2 when the medical report came out. It revealed a deadly mix of fentanyl, cocaine, ketamine, and other substances. Leandro had been following in his grandfather's footsteps, pursuing a career in acting. He even had a small role in the 2018 hit film A Star Is Born, but his promising future was cut short far too soon. De Niro, known for being private and composed, was visibly shaken in a rare moment of raw emotion. He told People magazine, "It's just a shock. I never thought it would happen. My grandson, on July 2 of last year, he overdosed on fentanyl, so it's not it's awful. You're kind of stunned and never thought it would happen. I never thought." Then just 2 weeks later, the tragedy took an even darker turn. Police arrested a 20-year-old woman named Sophia Haley Marks, accusing her of selling Leandro counterfeit prescription pills. The pills were supposed to be oxycodone and Xanax, but they were actually laced with fentanyl, a substance so powerful that just a tiny amount can be deadly. Leandro's death put a spotlight on America's growing opioid crisis. The Drug Enforcement Administration had already warned that nearly half of all fake prescription pills tested contained enough fentanyl to kill a person. His passing became a heartbreaking example of how dangerous these drugs are. It also reignited conversations about drug education, stricter prescription laws, and better support for those battling addiction. As De Niro mourned his grandson, another storm hit in November 2023. He found himself in court facing a massive lawsuit. His former assistant Graham Chase Robinson sued him for $12 million, accusing him of discrimination, verbal abuse, and harassment. Dueling lawsuits were filed between actor Robert De Niro and his former assistant. The young woman released vulgar voicemails allegedly left by the Oscar winner, claiming that he was verbally abusive. Robinson had worked for De Niro for over a decade, starting as his personal assistant and eventually becoming a vice president at his company Canal Productions. But she claimed that during those years she endured inappropriate comments, unfair treatment, and even unwanted physical contact. In court, an explosive voicemail recording was played where Du could be heard yelling and cursing at Robinson. However, this legal battle wasn't one-sided. Years earlier, in 2019, De Niro and his company had actually sued Robinson for $6 million. They accused her of stealing company money, misusing funds, and even watching Friends 55 episodes while on the clock. They also claimed she transferred 5 million airline miles, worth about $85,000 to her personal account. The trial lasted 8 days. De Niro himself spent 2 of those days on the witness stand. He denied ever abusing Robinson, but he did admit to some of her claims when asked if he told her that his personal trainer was paid more because he had a family to support. He simply replied yes when asked if he had ever asked her to scratch his back. He smirked and admitted, "Okay, twice you got me." After 5 hours of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. De Niro himself was not found guilty, but his company, Canal Productions, was ordered to pay Robinson $12 million. The jury ruled that the company had discriminated against her based on her gender and retaliated against her after she spoke out. The case damaged DA's reputation and sparked debates about workplace power dynamics and gender discrimination and how personal and professional boundaries often blur in Hollywood just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse. Another crisis struck in July 2023. Dow's longtime partner Tiffany Chen faced a terrifying health scare shortly after giving birth to their daughter Gia. She started noticing something was wrong. It began with a strange tingling sensation on her tongue, then her face started to feel different, almost numb. One day she looked in the mirror and realized her face was drooping. Panic set in. Within days her condition worsened dramatically. She could barely eat. Food would just fall out of her mouth. Her speech became slurred. Fearing the worst, she rushed to the hospital where doctors diagnosed her with 19 drums. Slowly most cases, one of the Emery, were paralyzed. De Niro played dying of couldn't even kiss her daughter. He didn't just play experts. Left feeling self-conscious and determined to make his performance authentic. ESP learning how to play stood every to joking that she just appeared a little when the film was released on July. Smo audiences and critics. Let's dive in and find out they didn't just see Chango on September 5th. His performance raw, heartbreaking. That was the day joined Stella Adler Conservatory, getting one of the most famous acting schools in the world. Had to audition 7 just fin. The moment he truly began to understand million, which was IMM himself. Forte would later become. He tried totally attention, hoping to finish high school. That did introduced him to a director who would change longer forever from that first collaboration. Turning Back, which hit theaters. Phil, directed by Brio, wanted the lead role. He was just years old. Filed it in 1963. Toad getting himself into TR. This long delay turned out to be eerie. Even though the Phil character, he was a force of it, was an important Mill couldn't take their real step into the world of Streets. Was a raw, gritty film made on a small budget of just $500,000. Shooting wasn't easy. The team filmed in real locations in New York's Little Italy, facing all kinds of obstacles. At one point, Scory had to pay off local mobs just to keep them from interfering. In another instance, a building owner refused to let them film until Score's father personally negotiated a deal. But despite the challenges, the film turned out to be a triumph. It was bold, authentic, and full of life. Critics raved about it, and Dow's performance earned him an award for Best Supporting Actor. Suddenly he wasn't just a promising young actor, he was a rising star. In 1974, Robert De Niro became a true Hollywood star. That was the year he played young Vav Cohn in The Godfather Part 2. The first Godfather film had already been a massive success, so expectations for the sequel were sky high. De Niro had the tough job of playing a younger version of the character that Marlon Brando had made Legendary, he didn't take it lightly. To prepare, Dyro spent for months learning to speak in an authentic Sicilian dialect. He wanted his performance to feel completely real, and his hard work paid off. The Godfather Part 2 was a huge success, and at the Academy Awards, Dyro won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. He was only 31, but in classic Dyro fashion, he didn't even show up to invisible, just like Travis. Then came the film's most famous scene, the legendary "You talking to me here" moment. It wasn't even in the script. Dyro made it up on the spot, staring at himself in the mirror and speaking like a man, slowly losing his grip on reality. But that wasn't the only way he transformed. For the role, he lost 35 pounds, spent time with Vietnam War veterans suffering from PTSD to understand their pain, and even wore Travis's boots every day for 2 months, walking 15 mil daily so they felt like a second skin. By the time filming started, he didn't just act like Travis Blee, he was him. But Dyro wasn't done pushing himself when he played boxer Jake LaMotte. In Raging Bull, he took his method acting to an even more extreme level. First, he trained with LaMotte himself, spending months in the ring until the real boxer admitted that Dyro could have gone pro. But the biggest challenge wasn't learning how to fight, it was transforming into the however Ian Leond instead of prosthetics, or took over went all, and he slammed the phone down by traveling through, eating everything in sight, gone, and at ice cream, whatever it took, to his body, drawing blood, but of 145 to 2 at his own blood onto RA was so that it became predictable. In first had to rush to shoot his heavier scene he met genuinely working set of Taxi Driver and Never to Do later. They were married on April 28, 1976. In the end, the pain was war. Their son Raphael was after the hotel where he was conceived, the Rail Hotel in Rome. Robert Dow, at the time D character, even after filming for the King of Comedy, where he created, wanted to truly welcome their son Raphael. 1976 took things even further. Dyro also adopted secret Jerry and Ari, who his family he Marinter fans during interval. He'd films The Deer Hunter in 197 was UN even appeared, including the King comedy in Anes, where she bartender. Then came their marriage. Every play div was settled, Kading gangster million, an enormous amount, hugging and kissing on your hand. After the divorce, a relationship, actress Tookie Smith in 1988. No, their relationship lasted until 1996. Insulted him a little was unusual. In many ways, you got a little out of order. In 1995, the couple had twin sons, July and Aaron Kendrick. To get into the sea no one could see, there was the inti. That wasn't all around the same on rumors seeing supermodel, while most production only add to the complex of his own cash. To the was very Rel, famously saying, "Do you know how to spell private privat with a capital P?" After their split in 1996, they agreed on a co-parenting arrangement, taking turns caring for the twins in 4 cycles, showing their dedication to raising their children together. In 1997, Dyro married Grace Hightower. They met in 1987 at the upscale restaurant Mr. Chow in London, where Haya worked as a hostess. They dated for 10 years before getting married on June 17, 1997. However, their marriage quickly became turbulent, and just 2 years later, in 1999, Dyro filed for divorce. Surprisingly, the divorce was never finalized, and the couple renewed their vows in a lavish ceremony in 2004 in the Catskill Mountains, attended by many celebrity guests. They had 2 children together, Elliot, born on March 18, 1998, and Helen Grace, born via surrogate on December 23, 2011. Their marriage lasted 21 years, but it was far from smooth. Reports suggested that Heuer had a strong influence over Darrow's finances and film project, which caused tension in their relationship. Their final separation came in 2018, and the divorce battle became ugly. Darrow's lawyer claimed that the actor was forced to continue working just to cover his expensive lifestyle. It was revealed in court that she spent $215,000 a month on credit card bills and another. Both of them were artists. His father was an abstract painter whose work would later be showcased in major museums, and his mother was both a painter and a poet. They met in 1941 at an art school, quickly fell in love, and spent much of their time creating art together. Even during their honeymoon, they couldn't put their paint brushes down. However, Dew's early life took a turn when he was just 2 years old. His parents separated, but it wasn't for reasons commonly discussed at the time. His father had come to the realization that he was gay. Despite the split, his father remained in his life and stayed involved in raising him as a child. Darrow was small and pale, which led other kids to give him the nickname Bobby Milk. But his childhood wasn't just complicated by teasing without his parents' knowledge. His grandparents secretly had him baptized in a Catholic church on September 14, 1945. His parents didn't follow any religion, but his grandparents were devout and wanted him to be part of their faith. This caused an unspoken divide in the family. He grew up in the streets of Greenwich Village in Little Italy, primarily raised by his mother. She worked tirelessly to support them, taking on jobs as a printer and typist, often working long hours. This meant Darrow spent a lot of time alone, but he found an escape. Our movies. His father often took him to the theater, and he quickly became fascinated by film. One actress in particular, Greta Garbo, captivated him. He didn't fully understand why, but there was something about her performances that stayed with him. Then an unexpected opportunity changed his life. His mother got a job typing scripts for a drama workshop, and as part of her payment, Darrow was allowed to take acting classes for free. He was just 10 years old, but this was his first real introduction to the world of acting. Soon after, he stepped onto the stage for the first time, playing the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz in a school